looked high and low for impurities, tested her valence, the permeability of her essence. Do you know what I found?
Okay, so the idea of valence. So I've made a bit of a study just talking to people about the nature of polyamory, non consensual non monogamy. So one of the things that I came into was this idea of personal valence or valence, as I learned to pronounce it when I was in school. The idea that a molecule stabilizes when there's a proper and structured exchange of electrons. That, for example, H2O. There are two electrons that are missing from the external cloud of an oxygen atom, and it stabilizes by borrowing the electrons of two hydrogen atoms, which are missing one each, and so it forms a molecule to stabilize the entire structure. I rather think that there's a similar social valence that a person experiences based on it affects everything. You know, our introversion versus our extroversion, which are attributes. They're not actually, they're constitutional, but that doesn't mean that an introvert doesn't need people. They need specific kinds of people. They are more sensitive to the kinds of people they need, and they don't experience that social exchange the way an extrovert does. And we propose values to these, moral values to these for some reason, and I never understood that. But either way, this idea here now, this animancer again, animancer in this not being a person who practices animal magic, but animism, being all things have a spirit, or the study of spirits, or the philosophy of spirituality, and that which motivates things internally. So an animist studies how things spiritually interact in this, right? So testing a person's spiritual valence, how balanced they are internally, and how balanced they are in their connections. Very, very interesting, especially with connection theory, which is a psychological discipline being like going on right now. Like, it's a big thing that's happened over the last decade or so coming out. That connection, how you connect to other people, is informed by how you were connected with your parents. You learn how to establish your relationships based on how your parents related to you. So those who were most secure had really good, really healthy relationships with their parents. They were encouraged to engage on their own terms, understand their own needs, express their own needs, and express their boundaries very, very well. And that's very secure connection. Then there's anxious connection, where it's like you hold back a lot because you're not sure. You have trouble. Trusting. You have trouble connecting deeply. And there's 4 constitutions that they put out there right now. But it's interesting just seeing that here. And it goes into the idea of game design and games being something where we come to understand ourselves through the playing of games.
Nothing at all. A healthy woman, head to toe, blessed with a beautiful soul. Such a sweet woman, too.
No, you're not,
But
Minty.
warm-hearted. A few months' time, and the lord of the house demanded answers. For a time, I told him what he wanted to hear. Oh, yes, my lord. She is riddled with imbalances. I must have time to cure her. As the day drew near, he grew impatient, as lords do. And this is where I've ended up.
So, Minty, even connection theory says if you have been conditioned into a particular connection style, it doesn't mean you can't practice, study, and cultivate yourself to form secure attachments. And in fact, that's the goal. The goal is to reach, like we see here, valence. The idea of being balanced in yourself, and not necessarily being balanced alone. And that's something that we currently have in our toxic stoicism in America, is this idea of do it yourself, do it alone. And no, you should be connected to other people, and it should be something with healthy boundaries, and it should be something where you aren't codependent. These people are not people who you need around all the time, which is another type of connection constitution. But they support you, they help stabilize you. They don't make you stable. You stabilize yourself with their assistance. So no, I don't think you're screwed, is my thing. It takes work, because I know I have this tendency, forget what, it's a savior complex. I have a savior complex. I want to help people really deeply. It's not a martyr complex. I don't want something out of it. I don't want them to be dependent on me, and I don't want that codependence. I hurt myself in pursuit of helping others. And at times I may overstep in an attempt to help. So that lack of boundaries. See? So don't talk bad about my friend. That's what I'm saying. No. That's in fact that's something that's come up in a lot of polyamory discussion, because polyamory and non-monogamy are not necessarily the same thing. That polyamory approaches things of, oh no, you just have relationships. And non-monogamy is the practice of letting all of those relationships flower into romance if and when they do in an organic sense. Whereas monogamy, you can be polyamorous and monogamous because it's just an understanding of you love all of the people around you. Which ultimately leads me to an idea of progression towards omniamory, this thing of you just love everybody. And it's just a matter of where they sit in your consciousness, where they sit in how you relate to them. And yeah, attachment, it's all attachment. Attachment theory, and thank you, it's attachment theory, not connection. Attachment theory. And all of those attachments, all of those connections matter, not just the romantic. In fact, it's one of those things that I've talked about, this idea of, in America, we have this picture of love being romantic and romantic only. Everything else is, there is no other love. That is what love means in America. And thankfully we're getting away from that very, very small baby steps, because pop culture still is like, it equates love and sex largely. And that's wrong. End of story. That conflation of love and sex is wrong. But I digress. Back to the damn game, PAX. Come on.